Today we'll be discussing the 2018 midterms elections.
We'll also be exchanging views on Trump's plan to end birthright citizenship in America for children who are born to non-U.S. citizens.
Hundreds of thousands of illegal immigrant children are made automatic citizens every year because of this crazy policy, and they are all made instantly eligible for every privilege and benefit of American citizenship at a cost of billions of dollars a year.
And finally, we'll be bringing you the latest CSUF and local news. All this and more on today's episode of The Report. Hello and welcome to The Report, Cal State Fullerton's premier source for news, views, and info. I'm Xochitl Lagunas.
I'm Leslie Duarte.
And I'm Ryan Matthey. Before we delve into our first hot topic, we'd like to invite you to be a part of the discussion this semester season. Click on the link in the caption of any of our report episodes to fill out a secure Google form with your opinion on any controversial issues that we've talked about now or in the past, as many of these issues are reoccurring and evolving, ranging from gun control to abortion, climate change, or the state of politics. All we ask is to please keep it civil.
We begin this episode with the coverage of the 2018 midterm elections. Out of 50 states, 20 states are able to cast their votes in early. As of right now, the Republicans control both houses in Congress, but with the midterm election, that can all change. The Democratic Party has a chance to control either one house or both. With everything going on in the world with the administration and certain officials that were appointed into power, the midterms elections can change some of those decisions around. Some people are taking this opportunity to either show their support for President Trump or their disapproval. And of course, President Trump has been making appearances for some of the Republican candidates on their campaign trail to ensure that Republican votes are met. This midterm election was very important to make sure that we chose the right people that would represent us and heard our concerns well. Throughout this election, there was a lot of tight races between Democrat candidates and Republican candidates, and where it could go either way. But according to President Trump, he said it won't be his fault if Republicans lose control of the House. So there you have it, guys. According to President Trump, it's not his fault if they lose. But what I really want to know is, you hear this blue wave, you hear this Republicans, Democrats going at each other, trying to get their votes, doing the most and extra to get their voters out. But do you think Democrats have it in them to change the House?
Of course they have it to change it. It's just the power to, or the action of actually going out to vote to do it. You know, we've heard a lot of excuses why people are choosing not to vote. A lot of them saying, like, my vote's not going to matter. It's not a thing. If I don't vote, it's not going to affect anything. Where, of course, if you were the only single person thinking that way, maybe it would be like that. But if you're thinking like that, there's more likely than not thousands of other people who are thinking the same way. So if you're choosing not to vote because you don't think your vote matters, you are then letting other people vote for you. And that's not correct. That's not what America's built on. You need to vote for something that you believe in.
Yeah, no, and great segue into that, because I've heard so many excuses of why people don't vote. I'm not that informed is the one that I hear the most, is where, well, I'm not that informed, so I don't know if I do vote, if I'll mess it up, or if I'll misinform.
To keep on with your point, that's very contradicting to your own self, because there's a lot of resources online right now that help people in an easier way to understand. So it's really no excuse, to be honest. No bueno.
Absolutely. No, it's 2018. Another good reason that I heard that you should vote is you may not vote, but the people that you go to school with, your jobs, your health insurance, it's important that you show your opinion and how you want your district or your federal government to go in. But it's just so important. You're right, Sochi. There are so many resources online and people walking around doors and just talking to people about what is the options on the ballot. And I mean, it's 2018. You got to get it together.
And if it's intimidating, like for you to go and do that yourself, then why don't you gather a group of friends and do it together?
Yeah, you can
Why
make it.
not?
Yeah,
Make it a field trip. Make it a ladies' night out to the polls, you know? And like speaking on your point too, saying like, I don't feel informed, like I don't know what I'm voting on. Speaking as a person who has voted recently,
Yes, good
thank
job.
you.
Yes.
When you, or at least when I was voting, I was doing it electronically, and on it will show you, like it'll say whatever proposition you're voting for, and then it gives you the description of it, and it'll say either, hey, if you're voting like this will happen. If you don't vote this won't happen, you know? So in terms of like not knowing what's, you know, what you're voting for, you do, because it's literally, if you can read English, it's right there available for you. If you speak Spanish, there's a Spanish option too. Like there's so many ways that you will understand what you're voting for.
I think,
you know?
I think the ballot's in like 28 or 29 different languages here in California.
See,
There's so many resources, and Instagram. I don't know if you guys saw this on your Instagram, but if you click on, oh, you haven't? Okay, but there's a sticker that says voted, and if you tap on that sticker, it pulls up a website where you can find out your nearest polling place and where you can vote.
Wow.
So, and California has same-day registration.
Yeah.
So there's really no reason why you shouldn't be voting. You can show up, register that day, cast in your ballot, and call it a day.
Do your civil duty and then leave.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
Absolutely.
Do it.
Very responsible.
Now turning to the second hot topic, speaking of Trump, now he's planning to end the birthright citizenship for children that are born to non-U.S. citizens. Trump was trying to make this an executive order, but the Democrats, legal scholars, and even the Republican House Speaker, Paul Ryan, quickly put a stop to it. Trump said, quote, "We're the only country in the world where a person comes in and has a baby, and the baby is essentially a citizen of the United States, with all of those benefits," end quote. However, there are actually more than 30 countries, including Canada and most of South America, that has the same policy. Trump called the babies born to undocumented parents, quote, "anchor babies," end quote. But he expresses that, quote, "everyone uses it," end quote. This is not the first time that Trump brought up the plan to end birthright citizenship. That was a part of his hardline immigration platform. But in order to change the birthright citizenship, you would have to change the 14th Amendment of the Constitution, which was ratified in 1868. Well, guys, what do you think? Should the 14th Amendment be up to date? And not only that, but also the other amendments. Do you think it should be up to date to what we stand for right now?
Definitely not. Definitely not. I do not think we should amend any amendments or any, go and touch the Constitution, leave it as is, because that is just, I mean, it is such a lengthy process to amend amend this amendment.
And I get it. Like, definitely the Constitution is very old. It is a dated piece of work. And so not to say that, you know, taking certain things out and replacing it with certain things is a bad thing, because obviously we need to progress with the times. However, in terms of the 14th Amendment right here, this is something that I personally believe, and I think you guys do as well, that we need to just leave it be, you know? This is a part of the American experience, and this is part of what makes being an American citizen so great, is that somebody who lives in a separate country where they might come from poverty, from war, from drugs, from poor conditions, can come into this lifestyle and make a name for themselves, or at least have some sort of a decent life, you know? And so maybe I feel like this is just like the moral side of me coming out and saying, like, we need to, or at least the people making these policies need to look at it from a moral standpoint and view it as, if I was in that situation, would I want to be, you know, put out?
Yeah. You know, this just goes further than, you know, your question was, should we amend should we change
the 14th Amendment and other amendments that are
But definitely not. I mean, Republicans, you know, they stand strongly in defending the Constitution as it is written. And if you start amending this 14th Amendment, then you start touching into the Second Amendment and other things. And this could go really bad really quick if we start messing with what the Constitution says. And let's not forget, the 14th Amendment was ratified in 1968 to a Supreme Court's decision of the Dred Scott case, which basically said that African American freed or non-freed slaves were not U.S. citizens. So this historically is a huge thing to even bring up on the table. And honestly, it just makes me question why the president said what he said. Does he know what he was talking about? Does he know that he cannot do this through an executive order? I mean, Paul Ryan, Speaker of the House, said himself that this is not possible. The president cannot do this with it.
And it brings a lot of questions. You know, it's like, okay, so if this amendment were to be changed the way how he wants it, it's obviously going to affect those newborn babies. But then what about the people that are already here that have been born with, like, you know?
It really just, it was such a confusing comment, and really just, what did he say? But as an intellectual and as somebody that knows historically what he meant or what point he was trying to address, it's clear to see that the reason he said this comment was to motivate his base, to incite fear, and to get people out there to vote. And it's working because we're talking about it. We are talking about it.
If you need to crazy talk to get people to go out and vote, then do it. Like, talk your talk, do your thing, right? But then again, it comes down to us, and it comes down to citizens of America to actually, if they don't agree with what he's saying and what he's envisioning for the future of America, to make the action to go actually vote for people that are going to represent you well.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, wow.
It's crazy, and I guess we'll see what happens when the midterm elections come in, and we'll see whatever happens with the 14th Amendment later, right? Now turning to national news, notorious Boston mob boss James Whitey Bulger was killed in his prison cell in West Virginia at the age of 89. The mob boss was serving 2 life-term sentences for the murder of 11 people during his reign as the boss of South Boston. For 20 years, as Whitey Bulger ruled the streets, he was under the protection of the FBI as an informant, which led to multiple mobsters that were in competition with Bulger. This lasted until 1994, when he was tipped off that he was going to be indicted. He then went into hiding until 2011, when he was captured. The alleged killer is known to be a mafia hitman from Massachusetts named Freddie Geese. Geese, a member of the Genovese crime family and rival of Bulger's crime syndicate, is serving a life sentence that was set in 2003.
On November 1st, Google employees walked out of their offices to demand better treatment towards women in the workplace. The protest came after multiple incidents of sexual harassment within the company, including high executive chiefs like Andy Rubin, known as the father of Android. He was accused of sexual harassment, to which he stepped down from the company, but still received a $90 million payout. A supporter of the walkout, Sam Dutton, a web developer, told BBC, quote, "We're walking out to support colleagues in any workplace that have suffered harassment and to ensure that perpetrators aren't protected or rewarded," end quote. The Google employees left their desk, leaving behind a note saying, quote, "I'm not at my desk because I'm walking out with other Googlers and contractors to protest sexual harassment, misconduct, lack of transparency, and a workplace culture that is not working for everyone." A list of demands were written, which included the appointment of an employee representative to the board, as well as the end of pay opportunity inequality. The walkout included locations in Singapore, London, Tokyo, Berlin, and New York.
With the holidays right around the corner, Starbucks has begun their annual holiday-themed cups. The company's creative studio drew on from the past for inspiration and added a twist to the newly designed cups. The newly patterned cups have stripes, flora, espresso houndstooth, and starguile. Along with newly designed cups are the holiday beverages that include peppermint mocha, toasted white chocolate mocha, eggnog latte, and gingerbread latte. In campus news, a Cal State Fullerton student was attacked during the day on Halloween. The incident took place at the parking structure at the Evangelical Free Church, which is known to shuttle students to campus. The victim, a 20-year-old female, was stabbed multiple times in the hands. The victim said that she was walking to her car when the attacker approached her and began to plunge his knife at her, striking her hands. The attack is considered to be random due to the victim completely being unaware of who her attacker was. The suspect was later arrested, who was hiding in a nearby neighborhood. His identity has not been revealed.
You may have noticed some areas of the campus were fenced off. Last week, the Dean of Students announced a long list of new improvements beginning to take place on campus. Reporter Melissa Galuzzo has more on the story.
Construction is beginning in the Titan Quad and Promenade areas to make fire lanes comply with fire codes, while also beautifying a high-traffic section of the campus. The new design will enhance students' experiences while walking and resting in between classes. With a large portion of the quad blocked off by fences as construction and demolition are beginning, students may have to take a slight detour while walking to and from classes through these areas, as far down as Langsdorff Hall. Remember to plan accordingly as construction teams are working in these blocked off areas.
I can't take certain paths that I'm used to.
My personal walking path is like greatly extended, so it's kind of inconvenient.
The construction will be complete in 3 phases. Beginning right now until commencement, the fire lanes will be improved for safety, new decorative paving, new lighting, and colorful landscaping will be added. Between February and commencement, new bike racks and additional seating at Starbucks Plaza will be added. And finally, from post-commencement to December of 2019, the last of the improvements will be made, including more level ground in the quad and better configuration and amenities for events and performances.
I think it would be better if maybe they did a section at a time because it seems like it's such a huge area.
I was concerned about students with disabilities and just wondering how students with who are used to taking certain pathways on the routes to certain classrooms are impacted by these kind of changes.
In my opinion, I mean, I guess it's nice to look at something that's like, you know, nice to look at, but I think money would be better like put to like, you know, student activities, maybe like more financial aid for students, stuff like that.
If you have any questions or concerns about any of these projects in the works, contact the zone management team at Cal State Fullerton. For the report, I'm Melissa Galuza.
On October 18th, Cal State Fullerton held an internship and career expo in the TSU to showcase nearly 60 different job opportunities for undergraduate and graduate students. Reporter Anna Aragon has more on the story.
Many students are getting closer to graduation and ask themselves what's next. Here at Cal State Fullerton, over 50 companies are in attendance at the Internship and Career Expo, offering students job opportunities in various fields of study.
We provide a lot of leadership training, and we want our employees to know what they want to do with their life. We find that if they have goals moving forward, it's easier to do the day-to-day jobs, and we want to help them however we can.
Among the 50 companies in attendance were Cintas, Target, Macy's, and Enterprise.
I've been coming to this campus actually almost 20 years. I started recruiting here in 1999, and I love to hire Cal State Fullerton grads. I have worked at Cal State Fullerton in the Career Center for 17 years. We do these job fairs twice a year.
Those who attended had the chance to learn more about each company and what they do, as well as what positions would be available for students for internships and careers.
I think it kind of makes me aware of like what they're like looking for, like what the requirements are, so that like whenever I come again that I'm more prepared for it.
There are a lot of companies who are recruiting for internship positions, so I'm just going around all the companies, talking to them, and then handing over my resume and getting some information from them.
We spoke to some representatives of these companies to hear their thoughts on what they are looking for in potential candidates.
So we're looking for individuals who, if they have a business background, that's fantastic, or at least a passion about business.
We're really looking for people who have customer service skills, sales skills. They're really driven. They want to be a team player. They take initiative. They want to work their way up through management and get rewarded based on their performance.
For the report, I'm Anna Aragon.
Well, that's all the time we have on today's show. Make sure to stay tuned for more news, views, and info, and don't forget to go out and vote. As I've said before, I am a proud person who has already voted for Leslie. Did we vote?
Yes, we are voting after this.
I haven't voted. I was on a trip. It's school purposes, but I will vote today. I promise.
Make sure it happens.
It's so important, guys.
As long as you do it,
today.
that's all we care about. As long as you do it before,
Yes.
before Sunday.
And there's resources. There's resources.
Well, thank you for tuning in, guys. I'm Ryan Matthew.
I'm Xochitl Lagunas.
And I'm Leslie Duarte. Stay fresh, Fullerton.